then President Trump was shocked to see J.D. Vance go on The View. And not only did J.D. Vance go on The View, he absolutely destroyed them. Y'all already know how The View is. You know how Sunny Hostin is. You know how Whoopi Goldberg is. You know how Anna Navarro them is. They always race bait, and they always want to say Donald Trump don't like black. They always play the race card about Donald Trump don't like black people. Donald Trump don't like this. Donald Trump don't like that. Why did Donald Trump lie about this? Why did Donald Trump do? So this is what they are doing. And what I like about J.D. Vance, he didn't fuss. He didn't argue. He just commonly destroyed them. To the fact that Whoopi Goldberg had to tell Anna Navarro to be quiet because she wouldn't even let J.D. Vance talk. That's how it was. So we definitely about to dive straight into this. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me all know in the comment section who all stayed to the very end of this video. I know it's hard listening to The View, but I'm only going to listen to it because J.D. Vance is in it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all feel the same way because we know he's going to destroy them. So let's go ahead and start off with this. It's a Whoopi Goldberg just tried claiming the Trump administration is casting aside black people, and J.D. Vance is not having it. I told you, it's just always this race baiting stuff that they do. But let's check it out.
And you were talking about people. What did black people do to this administration that has allowed it to really stigmatize folks of color? And you know how hard it is. You have folks of color in your family.
Sure.
So when you see, you know, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information of black heroes, how does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just, I know Emmett Till was the kid.
Yeah.
No, I want to know what she's.
You don't know what I'm talking about. So in a lot of the museums, there's so many. You know, where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country. Slavery happened. All kinds of stuff happened. And it seems that it has been very easy for this administration to remove that and also to denigrate black folks who have worked their behinds off to get this American dream.
Oh, my God. This is crazy.
I mean, you know that.
Then, of course, the crowd is going to sit up there and clap. J.D. Vance is just like, hold on, Whoop, I'm trying to figure out what are you asking me, and then you got the crowd acting like they want to boo. It's like, get out of here with that. Like, this is crazy.
So Sonny, that was actually a very helpful intervention, because I think the story you're talking about is where, you know, allegedly the administration is holding back the appointments of people based on skin color.
I'm talking about a host of things. I'm talking about black history getting erased from public spaces. Black voter districts are being dismantled. Black leaders are being sidelined from our ranks. Where do Americans of color fit in this vision? Because it doesn't seem like we fit.
I think, Sonny, my view,
Look at this, girl. This is crazy.
Since October of last year, there's been something like 6,000.
Bro, is they gonna even let them talk? Sunny Hostin just pretty much asked a question. Then Anna Navarro. This is crazy. I cannot stand this race baiting crap. Like, I can't stand when they do it. I just knew when I heard J.D. Vance was going on The View that that's what they was gonna do. Bring up, trying to make it seem like Donald Trump is a race. This is what their whole goal is.
1,668 refugees allowed into the country. All but 3 were white South Africans.
So, first of all, I'm very skeptical of that number, because we have a lot of different immigration pathways in the United States of America. But let me just address Whoopi's point. Look, first of all, you asked the question, and maybe you don't believe this coming from me, but I think everybody is welcome in our political coalition. Frankly, even if you didn't vote for us, everybody is welcome in our country, so long as you're an American citizen with the duties and the legal obligations and rights to be here. But Whoopi, let me just give you an example of this. Okay, so you say that we're anti-minority or anti-black.
No, I didn't say that. I asked. See?
Well, okay, fine. Fair.
Don't start any stuff with me, man. Don't get me in trouble. Don't start that stuff with me.
I misinterpreted your question, but let me answer your actual question there. What I'm saying, I think, okay, look at Washington, D.C. One of the most democratic and one of the blackest, by share of population, blackest cities in the United States of America, has seen a radical decrease in violent crimes and sexual assaults and in murders. We have tried to take the crime issue seriously, in part because we believe everybody, whether you're black or white or rich or poor, deserves to live in a safe neighborhood.
Why does the crime? Where does the crime step in? This is not about crime. This is about
lost their jobs.
Right. This is about
Sonny,
human rights.
what you're saying is, we got to do more on the economy.
Black history has been erased from public spaces.
Black history is not erased from public spaces.
We do have to get to Iran when we get back to some very important news.
I'm telling you, we celebrate black history. We celebrate all American history in this administration. You guys might be skeptical.
Y'all see what they doing? So they up here trying to corner him. That's what they trying to do. They trying to get him to say. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's always those gotcha stuff, them gotcha questions. That's what they want. This right here is ridiculous of what they trying. So let's get on to this next one. JD Vance on what changed his mind on President Trump from 2016 to now. Because like I said, we know the View hate President Trump, so they're going to try to get it all out of JD Vance and see. So VP openly admits he bought into the BS from the fake news shows like The View. Exactly. When people up here listening to everything that pretty much come out of these women's mouth.
I would say fundamentally that one of the things I underappreciated about Donald Trump is that so many of the things that people said about him weren't actually true. Again, you talk about humility, okay? So I see Donald Trump, I see a clip of him, or I see not even a clip of him, but reporting about something that he said, and I take it at face value. For example, let's just go back to one of the most controversial things Donald Trump said during the first term that I was wrong during the first campaign, is that I was led to believe by the stories. I read stories that said Donald Trump said that all Mexicans were rapists. He never said that. What he said is that the certain South American countries, Central American countries, were releasing criminals into our country, including Mexico. By the way, that was objectively true. So it's not so much Christians.
Fidel Castro did that in 1980 with the Mariel boat lift. There have been many journalists, including CNN, where you used to work and be my colleague, that have tried to find evidence of that. There is no evidence that Maduro was releasing people from insane asylums or jails like Fidel Castro did do. This was made up, and we just can't, accept it without pushing back.
And we know that there were people who were released from prisons who were encouraged to come into the United States.
It wasn't a Mariel, Mr. Vice President. It wasn't where it was like a purposeful release, open up the jails, open up the insane asylums, and let people flood Florida. I lived through that in Miami.
If you go, it may not have been like Mariel, but if you go back to the caravans that were happening in 22, 23, we know that those things were funded. They were in some ways supported by the government.
There was absolutely,
so I don't know how you define support or not support, but if people are encouraged to come into our country after having spent time in prison by their own government, I think that's a problem.
Exactly. So, like I said, they keep on trying to corner him, and he just constantly just destroying him. And the thing about J.D. Vance is, why he destroying you, he's smiling. That's exactly what he's doing. He's smiling the whole time. So, now, here they go again, trying to get him in one of these trap questions. J.D. Vance is not allowing the View liberals to use children of illegals for propaganda. And what do Sonny Host and them like to do? Oh, y'all out here deporting, the people, and y'all deporting their kids. Remember all that was saying all that? So let's check out what J.D. Vance had to say about this one as well.
I'd like to pick up on this theme because I think it's really important. We do have to strike a balance, of course, between enforcing our laws. We don't want to dehumanize people. That is the balance that, look, law enforcement, what I'd say about this, law enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But let me.
Oh my! Look at her. She's just talking. They're using children as bait. They're using children as bait. Just straight lies. And what do they like to do? They just like to keep on trying to talk over J.D. Vance to make it seem like that they just destroying the vice president, or they just talking over. So like this is what she's doing. And by the way, if you look at Sonny Hostin, why she look like she's about to cry? She knows she's full of crap. She just want to hear herself talk. That's all it is.
Homes from their families. They're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But
the majority are not criminals.
But can I respond to that? Guys, let me just say this. Okay. So you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous...
I'm glad J.D. Vance brought that up. Because if Sonny Hostin is trying to use this, they using the kids for this. Where was Sonny Hostin during the Biden administration when, like he said, when kids was getting wet and all of that, and these illegal aliens was going in, R-word and people, kids and all that? Where was Sonny Hostin then? Where was Sonny Hostin during the Biden administration and when all this stuff was happening to kids? You didn't hear a word from Sonny Hostin. Now, so since she hate Donald Trump so much, now all of a sudden she's worried. And then that's a lie, talking about ISIS using children. I mean, all these people do is lie. That's all they do. But like I said, the last 4 years when Kamala and Joe Biden was in office, you ain't hear a peep from Sonny Hostin. You ain't hear anything from her. over these kids losing their life and stuff like that because of the illegal aliens and what they did to kids and stuff like that. You ain't hear a peep from them.
And during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions.
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point.
Look at this. She said, let's talk about this administration. So she don't want to talk about what was happening to kids in Joe Biden, administration. She said, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about this administration. Why she want to talk about this administration? Because she hates Trump. So if she cared about kids, she'll actually show that she cares. She don't care. Only thing they care about is trying to destroy President Trump. That's the only thing they care about. They don't care about kids. They don't care about anything. That's why they sit up here bringing up these lies, talking about ISIS using people's children to like deport. Like, come on, man. That is insane. So y'all listen to this. She gonna say, let's talk about this administration. I don't want to talk about Joe Biden. I know what happened in Joe. I don't want to talk about. Let's talk about this administration. Listen to her.
Who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions.
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless you enforce the border, you invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border.
And by the way, please hold on.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna get you back, Anna.
We're coming back with more.
So, I mean, it's like, come on, man. Like, and that's the thing. J.D. Vance, he ain't cracking under pressure. That's the thing about it. He's not cracking under pressure. So now, you already know Joy Behar got something to say. J.D. Vance just shot down Joy Behar's lie on The View that President Trump called affordability a hoax. Ah, man, it just continues to get worse.
Okay. So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trumpe, I call it. And a White House cage match. All these things. Why is he doing them when you just everybody knows that Americans are struggling? What is he spending all this money for?
Oh my God. Let me let J.D. Vance talk.
The president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax. And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden administration, okay? Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it. But we inherited an affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
What he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said.
That wasn't a direct.
Oh my
God. Interpreter, or are you his vice president? Come on.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, "I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over." And now, again, we already see gas prices. Gas prices today, $4.06 a gallon, too high, but way down from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot, there's a lot we got to do, but I think that we're doing as much as we can. We're going to keep on working at it. And again, the American people are going to make their verdict, but
it's like, come on, man. So y'all see exactly what they trying to do. They're up here trying to corner him, but they didn't stop there. So now they want to bring up this Epstein situation. Now, I want y'all to remember this. Now, we know the last 4 years, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, if they cared about the Epstein victims, why they never talked about it? Obama had 2 terms, never brung up the Epstein files, never cared about it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was in office, never talked about the Epstein files, never brung it up because they didn't care about the victim. They didn't care about anything. All of a sudden they care when Trump is president. Now they care about the victims. Now they care about Epstein and all of this. So Sonny Holston and Anna Navarro weren't prepared for J.D. Vance to come to explain to them why every single narrative they believe about the Epstein files are wrong.
Things that are totally missing context. Well, here's what I'll say. So number one, I am, frankly, kind of a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff. And that story says that that's one of the things that's true, is that some people called me a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff. And I love Susie, but absolutely, she thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist on the Epstein stuff because I think that it's crazy that you had this guy who is clearly a sex predator who is hanging out with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people. Like, that really bothered me. I don't know what's there, of course. Nobody knows exactly what happened unless you were there, but that really bothered me. And I wanted to have full transparency. What I disagree with is the idea that the White House wasn't committed to full transparency. We have to remember, like, I was inside the room when some of these decisions were made. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, the one that the president signed, the one that led to all these files that we're seeing, the emails. By the way, again, sorry, do I have to defend my boss? I know you guys don't always appreciate this, but, you know, one of the things you see in the Epstein emails is that Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump literally reported Jeffrey Epstein to the police. That's one of the things that came out of these files.
They were best friends for about a decade. And remember, he signed...
Just because you're a best friend with somebody don't mean anything. Hell, you can be best friend with somebody now. That don't mean you know their background or know what they doing. Like, right now, you got a lot of people right now got best friends. That don't mean that you know everything that your best friend is doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know everything your best friend is doing when you ain't around them. So now they're trying to use, oh, well, that was Donald Trump's best friend. Like, get out of here. See, they don't want to hear about the part that, you know, President Trump, you know, pretty much kicked them out of Mar-a-Lago and all that when he found out what was going on. See, they don't want to hear that. All they want to hear is bad things about President Trump. Let's go.
That Transparency Act under duress when some Republican women, congresswomen like Lauren Boebert, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, did not give in to his pressure of not signing. He brought Lauren Boebert into this.
That Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't give in to his pressure. Man, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a traitor, man. So, and she went over there and laughed it up with The View and all of that. Now they want to bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene. She got mad at President Trump when, pretty much, you know. He wasn't finna go ahead and help out because he's already told her she was losing in Georgia. So she already know that.
Situation to pressure her into caving on not voting for that bill.
So let me respond to that.
That's all true.
Let me respond to that. So number one is, yes, Donald Trump, and he said this, he knew Jeffrey Epstein back in the 1980s. He also threw